Hey, what's up, my friends? Thank you so much for checking out the Open Decks podcast. This week, Ryan and I sat down with Miracletek. He's one of my favorite up-and-coming producers and DJs here in the DC area. We talked to him a little bit about what he's got going on here this month and next. Exotica conference in Chicago coming up most immediately. And then 2 events with RPG, one at Ghost Bar in Arlington, Virginia on the 19th of April and in Brooklyn on May 31st. He shared a little bit about his experience as a DJ and some of his philosophy and how he approaches his sets as well as his production. Hope you enjoy the conversation. Thanks again for tuning in.
So I know we've got Ghost Bar coming up in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Brooklyn coming up next month, and you're headed to Chicago. What else you got going on this spring and summer?
I'm really just trying to book more shows right now. I guess the biggest thing I have coming up is Chicago, because it's gonna be my first time like going out of the state.
Yeah.
To actually perform, which is gonna be cool. But the company that I'm doing that with, like I've been working with them for a long time. You've seen what I've done in DC. They also do a show in Miami and New Jersey.
Same concept as Chicago and DC.
Yeah. And a lot of people get like the wrong idea of what that event really is, but it's kind of like those people appreciate the music too.
Yeah.
It's just like the same people you'd see at like a festival for real.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to do that, and Brooklyn coming up too, because I've been trying to get into New York for a while.
Yeah.
But I'm really just trying to get into more clubs in DC and get my name like out in like the city for real too.
Well, I think at least from the what you're putting out there in terms of the original tracks you're producing, I think you're doing the right thing. Like the music's good. I mean, when we were in Brooklyn last month, we were playing sent your SoundCloud for our buddy Joe, and like in the car, and I was like, hey, this is the guy we want coming up next time. And Gem's solid, man. That is one of my favorite tracks right now. Is one of my favorites so far.
Yeah, no, that was cool. That was like the first track that I put out, really moving in that direction or that sound. That's the sound I've been trying to like work on for a long time. I really enjoy like MPH and a lot of these like UKG artists that are coming out now. What they're doing with like their basses and like these sounds that they're creating. Like I'm just trying to figure out how I can do that on my own and kind of put my own flavor on it.
Yeah. Go ahead, man.
No, I mean, DC, we barely have anyone that's exploring the UKG.
Yeah.
And it's kind of at like a stage right now how like drum and bass was, how it slowly crept into the US, and now it's like everybody's trying to hop in there.
Yeah. We were just talking about that. Like,
crown jewel.
It feels like we might even be a little late to say this right now, but like you had, at least within like the subgenre of house, if you will, like you had 2-3 years ago, tech house was kind of everywhere, and last year Afro house took a huge leap. And honestly, like I mean, the movement into like UKG feels like the thing this year.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it's going to happen quite as much because it still isn't really native, but just a lot out there right now.
Yeah. It's like people really like the faster tempo stuff. I feel like.
Yeah, that's my perspective on it. The dance floor sort of like sometimes it needs a, kind of go in these cycles. Like I said, drum and bass kind of gets cycled in, then people just don't give a shit about it for like a couple of years, and it comes back. But UKG, it's good that we're bringing that spotlight and attention to it. For sure.
It's a fire like BPM range of music as well too, because like when you're mixing it, like you have anywhere from like 130 to 140 and you can move around there, so you can even throw in some like tech house songs in there and maybe play them at a faster tempo and just mix it in there.
Especially like tech house, again, like a lot of things, like a lot more is getting produced, it seems like, at 130 versus 128, right? Even a little bit creeping up can make a big difference. But I don't know, do you find you get different response from kind of the stuff you were producing or stuff you were playing before versus playing UKG now?
So a lot of like my tracks I try to keep like above like the 128 level anyways. And I actually have a few tracks that like don't even sound like they sound like they're slower than they are.
Yeah.
That one track that I just released, the error code one.
Yeah.
that song's like 136 BPM, but it doesn't really feel like it. And it's like I said, like it's easy. It's being able to like also mix that in with the type of music it is. If you're getting up to like the 140 area too, you can like even throw in a little bit of dubstep too. To kind of bring the speed back down, but it's still like just as powerful.
Yeah, I feel like the way I engineer music, it's definitely when it makes it where when I've stayed on Harvard 140, 145, then you kind of try to find that range down 10, with the garage. It's only you need that you need to be like, well, sometimes you break it up with tech house, you break it up with even some breaks, you know what I mean? It's like that's that feeling of like what we've done as RPG now. It's like we're kind of like we kind of shift that into that gear with a lot of those genres.
I mean, Carlos helps with that, right? I mean, Carlos over 9,000, like he's got that that experience, that portfolio as kind of the breakbeat guy from Baltimore 10, 15 years ago, and he kind of won us over, right? We at least I kind of resisted it at first, but I know you've done breaks in the past, and
the Florida scene, like way back in the Miami, Florida breaks, way back in the scene. When I started, it was like 1998.
Yeah, right. You doing any breakbeats? Like
some icy,
a little bit. Work like I have a couple of just tracks that I'll just mess around on, but. Like this type of music is kind of just like a dirtier, like grimier version. I feel like of like tech house. It's kind of more like for the streets, if you will, and that's I think that's what also makes it so fire. But I also like I've been on like a kick of like making like remixes of like older tracks now and kind of making them into that vibe and keeping them down to their roots, but just adding elements to make them kind of more updated, and that's been a lot of fun too, because that's just super easy to whip out really fast.
So we're talking about kind of UKG and et cetera, kind of being something I think a lot of people might not know that they're looking forward to yet. Like it's taking over, it's creeping in. I'm just curious if there's any other kind of trends or any other observations from kind of your last few months in terms of what you bring a good crowd, like you bring people with you. Like I'm just curious if there's anything that you've kind of heard in terms of feedback or
actually on Friday at that event that we did at Koi, there was a guy that I talked to before I went out. He like introduced himself to me. He was just there to watch the show. And he had asked me like what type of music I DJ, and I told him I was like like a little bit of UKG, like I'll throw in some wub in there. Yeah. And he was like, I'm gonna be real with you, like I don't even know what that is, but I'm excited for it, man. And then he actually came up to me after I'd gone up, and he was like, I just want to say like I didn't know what that was before, but like that's so awesome.
That's awesome. That's kind of where you want to be. It shows that you're ahead of the curve, like. You're able to kind of perceive trends before they take place, and that's powerful stuff, man. That's pretty powerful stuff. I don't know about you, but as a consumer, as just someone who enjoys music, I mean, have you been anywhere outside the area or that you kind of found any hidden gems or found anything that surprised you about any given scene? Just whether it's the genre, like the vibe in general, like the crowds.
Back kind of to like this music, like the shows that I'm seeing kind of just that are all over the US now, and the way that the crowds are, even drum and bass, like the energy in the crowds are different. People are just more like they're more amped and more pumped to like really, I mean, they're yelling words to like the remixes and everything and jumping.
That's what I noticed.
That's another thing too. You can take a lot of like rap music too, and it still works the same way. Kind of just how tech house, it blends good with rap music as well, to take it like an old sample and remix that. People love to hear like those throwback songs at those shows like that.
What about sorry, go ahead. You got something?
Oh, I'd add to that. Whenever you go into like any of those boiler rooms, like if you notice like everything with like people in the background, they're always like hyped up when you bring something with like I recognize that, and you're putting layering on top of this, and like that's what I kind of felt like like if I ever do that Boiler Room, let's bring those remixes out, man. You know,
yeah,
let's get that.
The Boiler Rooms are so nice. Like, I think that's like such a fire concept to really like bring everybody together into. You know, it's not really like a tight space because it's a big venue, but they make it tight by kind of bringing everybody together.
Yeah.
And having the DJ in the middle like that, just it kind of it feels like everyone's just in the moment rather than sitting there with their phone out.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. Like be present minded, man. You know, like especially if it's like for content's sake, sometimes you're just like it turns you off when you're like seeing the ballroom, and everyone's like back there kind of just awfully going to the
And it's like most of the time someone's filming already, so just enjoy the moment. You can watch it later.
Yeah. The content will be there. Like there's the content's there one way or another. Something that we kind of RPG had to make a decision along the way, and I don't think we did so. Like we didn't have to spend a lot of thought with it, but we've done lineups that have been multi-genre. We've done some that are like more specific. But this April in particular, and even Brooklyn will be a little bit kind of a hybrid. But we've even kind of set the intention to do more kind of UKG. Break beats. I mean, we kind of mixed in there, but it's really a UKG focus.
Yeah.
You find any difference being on like it was not a UKG lineup on Friday, right? That's right. So it's kind of a multi-genre. Like, do you find it any more or less difficult to be on a kind of multi-genre? Or
as for like the show the other night, it was Crescendo. He's a tech house DJ. Mm-hmm. We have Regina. She does tech house. My boy Ticho that was DJing. He does a lot more of like the UKG and stuff too. So him going after me kind of more fitting because he was just gonna basically run off of what I finished at. But I started my set like with a tech house track at around 128, and I had found an actual remix, a super fire remix I found on SoundCloud of the song. It was the New Gold Dom Dalla.
Yeah.
It was that track. Someone made a fire remix of it. So the remix on SoundCloud, it like starts within the first like 10 seconds of the track. It already goes into the build-up, and then it's like the drop. So I played the original track and then punched in where the build-up would start. And then I started like speeding it up to that like 135 range. And then I basically like got right into the set. But it kind of blended off of the end of his set and then kind of made that transition a little bit more smoothly than just transitioning right into a fast song.
No, that's really cool. I mean, like I echo out and move on is not, it doesn't make me happy when you're able to like blend the genre with the DJ before you and set up the one that comes after you. I think that it shows a high degree of professionalism and just like concern and care for the vibe. It's kind of rare. It doesn't happen a lot.
It is hard too, because even if you like try to pick out a song that you like think you're gonna open with, or you're like, I'm gonna open with this track, it's hard to get to a show, and then you never know what what key the DJ before you's about to end it.
And you have to go through like three things in your playlist that you would be like, I have to go find three tracks that kind of segues into it naturally, and not just force it. Yeah.
So like whenever I like will do a set, I'll kind of I'll structure things in Record Box at home, and I just do it like by hand on the computer. Like I don't even have like I'm trying to get a little FLX4 just to have like just
a stems,
just to like work on like Record Box, so I don't have to use my keyboard on my computer. But like I'd be like structuring kind of some transitions and figuring out like special points. I love like using the cue pads a lot.
Yeah,
a lot of people kind of are like, I don't really use the cue pads.
This DJ RZ, there's this feature that you're just like you can because the pads are so like funky with like effects and somehow you can record a sample loop. And I was just like playing with that today, and I was just like I just hit that pad and I was like, wait a minute. Okay, I can stem off this.
Yeah,
it is funny. Like some of the discontinued models. Like we've used it a couple times, and I'm like, it has this one. That's kind of cool. I'd much rather have.
Yeah, the 3000s are nice. The 2000 Nexuses, they have like the 4 cue pads, but they still have the switch over to make it 8. It's fire that this one actually has the 8. But little things like that I'll do in Record Box is like adding I'll add cues to special parts of like the song where I feel like it's a perfect point to like add in another song or like start another song. So, I'll spend sometimes hours doing that in Rekordbox with hundreds of songs, just going through them, like fixing grid issues if there is any, adding cues like that. And then basically I'm not really planning a set, but if I have a catalog of music, at least I can like run through it. And I've already made kind of mental notes, right, where I'm like, okay, yeah, you can start a song right here. You can bring in another song right here. I'll section off like drops, risers.
Oh, man.
So it's easy to kind of just bounce through it.
Yeah, I went ahead and like rated every one of my tracks and put like what else, like tags. Like this one has congas. This one is like
Yeah, I mean it takes a long time, but it really pays off in the end. I mean it's because you're gonna have that forever if you do it right.
It's good. Something that's again like that I've started doing a little more. Like it used to be that I just wanted to go out and acquire as much music as possible, acquire new music, make sure I had something that was, a lot of deep cuts. Like with us, like we just dig pretty deep into the crates. But now that I've got all that stuff, I've probably played most of it.
We do a lot of B2B, so we kind of have to.
You kind of have to, yeah. You push me on that, but now it's like going back and saying, hey, I got all these tracks I haven't played a ton. But now that I'm able to take care of the cue points, take really better care of the track, add the tags, add the comments, add the notes, it makes our sets a lot more interesting and flow a little bit better.
Yeah, we are very fluid up there.
Yeah,
a lot of people too will set their cues and stuff on the decks, which you can do that. It's easy, but that will take that's a lot more time consuming. When I'm just using Rekordbox on the laptop, it's just like I'm using a DAW, like creating music in a way, because I can just flip through the tracks.
Well, you have that engineer mind, and I could kind of see that now because I had that trial version of Ableton, and I was like, okay.
I'm still using free Rekordbox and doing what I can with it. And even as like the production softwares that I use, like I use FL Studio a lot to make my music. The only plugin I have that I actually is, I guess, a paid for plugin is Serum. Obviously, I use Serum a lot. But most of it is all like the stock EQ, stock compressors. Like, I always tell people that, like they're there for a reason.
Serum is the way.
Yeah, the new Serum 2 is
Serum 2.
It's crazy.
Yeah. The cult of Serum.
Yeah, I don't produce my own music, so you guys you're speaking a language that I barely understand, right?
Yeah.
Again, as we said last time, we will continue to bear our ignorance, my ignorance, anyways.
I know, me too, man.
Having the right tools at the right time is incredibly important, right? Like whether it's production or performance, and as we've talked about this recently, and Ryan and I talked about it too. Like there's really no excuse for not having like what you need in the moment, and except for this where we have these mics that are just trailing down on the floor here. It's probably a water issue somewhere, but nobody promised anything, right?
No,
we're gonna edit that part out, don't worry. Yeah, so I think a couple other things on my mind before we get you on the decks. Like are there venues out there like that you aspire to, or are there cities out there that you really aspire to say, man, like that's where I want to play.
We have all these places like Eaton Radio now. Those like even cafe daytime places. We had
or any concepts you're trying out. Interested in trying out. Yeah.
I would love to get to Miami for sure and play in some of those festivals over there. I mean, ever since like 2013, 2014, I've been listening to like Skrillex, Martin Garrix when he came out, like. And watching them at these big festivals, and I mean that's another thing. Like we were talking about earlier, how music's gotten faster. We talked about we had like tech house and all these different genres. Like that was like big room back then. Was like
that's right.
It was popping so hard, and that was like not fast at all. But watching like their sets growing up, like I obviously even over like Vegas, I put Miami is like where the DJs like really do their thing, but coming to DC, because I had lived in California at the time when I was listening to like those artists. But coming to DC, like I've been going to a lot more venues lately than I have in the past. But I really like Flash. Like Flash is really fire. I haven't been to Culture yet though. Everyone everyone kind of laughs
it's only
at
a
me
matter of time
for doing that.
yeah.
But I'm gonna go there soon. But Echo Stage too, and like Soundcheck, obviously. Not even really headlining, more or less. Like I just want to kind of look for some more like supporting acts over there too, because it's really kind of just showing out for your city, you know. And I'm really trying to just put my name out there in DC in general. And I feel like I'm kind of doing that in a way right now. But
yeah, that makes sense. I think you're onto something that when you're at those venues and you're on the lineup, you're likely to get the the attention from both within and without the city. Like, when we travel, people generally will ask us like, oh, you guys, like, what do you think of Flash? You played at Flash? And I think the same is true of a handful of venues in any given city, where it lends you a certain degree of credibility for when you do make, or when you want to make that jump to another place, and they say, oh, like, okay, you've been on the lineup there.
It's hard to find. It's hard to find bookings when you don't have kind of a lot of that stuff too, because they just want to ask you like, what have you done, where have you been, and it's like they don't care if you make good music or not. They don't even care if you make music or not. It's just like they just want to know what you've done. But it's kind of like
perception game a little bit.
Yeah, but it's better if you like meet the right people, doing the right things. Accepting all the venues you can. For sure at first, because, in the long run, like, those are the people that would, recommend you, or word of mouth would get around to have you get into different places.
Well, I think, on that note, like, I'm those venues kind of take whatever. I'm appreciative of you taking a night back at Ray's in October for your birthday party.
Oh, yeah. Like, that was where it started for sure. That was awesome.
I was traveling for work, family, some combination of those that week, so I wasn't there for it, but, I appreciate people who have that entrepreneurial spirit, if you will. Just say like, I just want to play, I want to put on a show, and I'm glad I got to catch you this Friday, and excited to have you on the lineup in a couple weeks, and then in Brooklyn as well. But
it's gonna be sweet, man.
Yeah, we're gonna have good. It's gonna be a good kickoff to our summer, and then of course in Brooklyn, I hope you find not only the event itself, but I hope you find there's a lot of talent up there, and generally a pretty damn good supportive group that we've been working with, and we're looking forward to it, man.
The cool thing about in Chicago is like I'm doing the shows during the day, so I have a set, like an hour-long set during the show itself on their main stage. But after the shows, like at nighttime, they host after parties at clubs around there. So I'm actually going to be DJing a few of those after parties. So that's kind of really where, I guess the action will be, more or less in like the convention hall. So, like, I was actually the first person that really kind of started like the live performing DJ aspect at their shows. They have a main stage where they have like dancers and the girls or whoever that have like a performance or a dance routine. And I also made hip hop music as well. I've been a producer for that as well. So I was actually performing at the Exotica shows a few times, like rapping. And then they have a main stage, and then they have like these little booths in different rooms that will have like a DJ that's just like playing music for the venue, but they've never had like
it's not for
DJ.
The whole house. It's just for
They've never had like a DJ on the stage, and I brought up that idea to them, and they loved it because the owner. This girl Brittany, she's super nice. She runs the whole thing. Her and like a lot of the other promoters of that company, like they grew up going to, Space in Miami. Like they really appreciate that type of music too. So when I had pitched that idea to them, they thought it was a good idea. And then when I had done it in DC, like it was a huge turnout. We had people. We had the guests that were coming in, and also some of the vendors from like the booths were even coming up and just like watching the set. And it was just a really really cool experience.
It's awesome, man. I think it helps, grow the scene and gets you opportunities, like you just said, man. That's great. Yeah.
Like, hip hop background. That's great. Like, you definitely fit like with like the like having two things that, I've always thought like for me, I started out kind of into like scratching and that mode of like vinyl DJing, and then here I am kind of like.
Well, so like I had asked my parents for like a DJ set. I got a little, I can't even remember the name of it anymore. This little Pioneer deck, like super small, that I had asked for, and I got FL Studio for the first time in like 2013, 2014. Yeah. And I was watching like Martin Garrix, Tiesto, and I was just basically downloading like the songs from their sets, figuring out what the songs were, and then basically trying to mimic their like mixing on my own.
How they're engineering it.
So that's how I got like into DJing and doing that. But you know, as the years went on, you know, not a lot of people were really talking about this type of music. It kind of had a little gray area for a little while. Yeah. And a lot of influence from like the newer rappers like, you know, Lil Yachty and like these, you know, rappers coming up in 2018. Like I got more into like making beats and stuff, and that's what got me producing more. And then during like, you know, COVID, being stuck in my house, I really like was producing a lot and recording my own vocals, and that's how I really like, you know, learned how to mix, how to master vocals, not just music, and, you know, making all of it together. But it's now, once I got back into like producing dance music and stuff, I was like remixing a lot of my old tracks, you know, kind of how they do with like new rap tracks now, but it was like my own tracks that I'd be like making.
That's impressive, man. I mean, what are you gonna spin here with us this evening?
So I'm gonna be spinning kind of a little rendition of a little bit of what I did on Friday. Maybe a little extra tracks in there, but I do have a few tracks that I have released and some upcoming that I have in the set. I'm not sure if I sent you the one track, but I have a track called Move that's more of like a tech house, speed house kind of. Okay. Yeah. It's got a tech house vibe to it, but it's at a higher tempo, around like 134, 135. But that's actually getting released by a label April 29th, so this month. So that's, I guess, another thing that's coming in April. You know, the DJ Zoomob. He's like a touring DJ. He's from Nashville, but he's tapped in with, you know, 9 Before 9 that's around here. Yeah. I've been working with him a little bit, so I just got introduced. Just
moved to Miami, right? Like, kind of, pushing out. Yeah.
But he has his own label called like Future Astronaut Records, and I'm getting that track released with them, so that's exciting. But yeah,
it's great. We're looking forward to hearing it, and now my interest is peaked on Nashville, man. Right.
Yeah, where could we?
I want to know what the electronic music scene is like in Nashville.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, but I mean, they got dance music up there, and it's popping.
Well, it's everywhere, and I think that's ultimately a good thing, because it gives us a chance to push boundaries, to explore, and to meld genres, and I know you do that really well. So,
Where can they find you on socials and you know, SoundCloud and Mixcloud? Do you have any of the
so right now I release a lot of my music just through SoundCloud, which is just Miracletek. Same as my Instagram, Miracletek, tech with a TEK. But I have a problem with like making a song and then like not releasing it, you know, like holding on to it. Like I just want to release it. So that's why I release a lot of music on SoundCloud, and I'm trying to work on. I've been trying to like release a track every Friday, whether it be a remix or an original, just because I have all this music. But like, you know, I feel like doing all this endless promotion, it helps, but it kind of gets draining too, you know, because a lot of people will get tired of the song before it even comes out. So if you just post the song, like it's gonna get to the right people. I just posted a remix a couple weeks ago. It's got like 2,000 plays now on SoundCloud. So that has no promotion or anything on it. It's just right time, right people, I guess, reaching it. But
well, we'll make sure get all the links in our show notes and elsewhere. And Ryan, are we recording? We got to record the set tonight.
Yeah.
Mixcloud.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, we'll get that recorded. Get the link to that as well. Miracletek, Ryan.
Yes. RyanSOHO.
You're a host. Why am I saying you?
I mean,
right, you're a co-host.
I'm letting you take lead. I'm, you know.
Awesome, man. Hey, thanks for talking to us. Really appreciate it. Yeah. We'll make sure that we get the link to the set tonight in the show as well. And you know, one of these days we'll fix this thing up, get it cleaned up. But for now, Ryan, you gonna try to sign off this week, or you gonna? Just gonna.
I'm a deer in headlights right now.
Still deer in headlights. All right. Well, thanks for joining. Thank you.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you for joining the Open Decks podcast. Until next time, keep listening. See you guys.
Yep.
I used to kick ball with a miter, now I kick balls to the pack come lighter. When my liker, zoot on my lighter. Street fighter, call a man Ken. Done I'm 10 aliens, call a man Ben 10, I'm 10 out of 10 with my pen. I thought the neck was a